Now, the technical term of the irons that we're going to be talking about today is players distance irons. However, I like to call them players power bats. In today's video, we're going to be looking at my top 6 irons of the players distance irons category. I'm going to give you a bit of an insight into what I'm feeling with these irons, why I've picked them, and give you some numbers and the cost of what they're going to cost you if you're going to go out and buy them. Let's get into the video. Now, it's important whenever you're doing these videos to put in a small disclaimer. There's going to be clubs that aren't in here that you probably think should be in here. However, these clubs are going to be very tight. Everything's going to be very, very much subject to the individual. So the numbers that I'm going to get are from what I've tested. Now remember, I test all year for a big company called Foremost. So therefore I've had the opportunity to test all the clubs on the market. And these are the ones that I've selected that I think are going to fall into today's category. However, there may be some out there that are right on the fringe and haven't quite made the mark. First up then, in number 6 position, and this is going to shock a few of you, the Titleist T150 iron. Now, as I said, everything is very, very close when it comes to this category and the clubs that I've chosen. The Titleist T150 comes in at number 6, and the reason why it comes in at number 6 is because the spin numbers on this particular club are considerably lower than what I'm seeing out of some of the other clubs on the market in this category. The T150 is, for me personally, probably the best looking iron of all the irons that I've tested for this category. However, it spins at around 5,600 revs with this 7 iron. It's at 32 degrees of loft, which is actually the highest loft out of all the clubs that I'm testing here today. But I think when it comes to control, you need some decent spin, and I'm not seeing enough spin out of this particular iron compared to what I'm seeing out of those others. And the price of this iron, £180 per club, which is again a little bit higher than what we're seeing out of some of the other products that I've tested here today. So coming in at number 6 is the Titleist T150. Next up at number 5, the newest addition to what I've been testing with Foremost is the Callaway AI 200 iron. Now, I think from a shop appeal point of view, absolutely stunning. That Callaway badge on the back there with that apex, absolutely beautiful looking iron. Maybe not quite as beautiful as what I was seeing out of that Titleist, probably a little bit more offset, hollow body construction on this particular iron at 30 degrees of loft. Now, price-wise, about a tenner less is what I'm finding online with this particular club compared to the Titleist. £170 per iron it's going to cost you. Spin-wise though, just a little bit higher than what I was getting out of that Titleist at around 5.7 for a 7 iron, which is again a little bit lower than what I would like to see if we're looking for that control, and control is extremely important on top of getting the power we're getting from these clubs. So that's the reason why the AI 200 from Callaway is coming in at number 5. Oh, sorry to interrupt, just a quick one to welcome all those new people to the channel. Hope you're enjoying this content. If you are enjoying it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, but let's get back to that testing. Now, this is going to keep you Mizuno fans out there nice and happy. Coming in at number 4, probably going to shock a few of you, but it's the JPX Hot Metal. It's the Pro range. This iron is absolutely stunning. It's the 925 range, so it's their most recent release, and it comes in, as I said, at number 4. I say it all the time whenever I'm testing Mizuno clubs, nothing does quite feel like a Mizuno, and the JPX range is definitely performing like a normal Mizuno club. Now, this particular one is shocking maybe a few of you because you might not think that this one goes in that category of where we're at as a player's distance iron. It's got 28 degrees of loft that I'm getting out of this 7 iron. However, the performance out of that 28 degrees of loft is fantastic. Looks wise, very similar to what I'm seeing out of that Callaway Apex iron as well. So very, very similar from the looks, which I think brings it into that category. And also you're going to notice that lots of tour players that use Mizuno are going to put a JPX iron at the top end of their bag. People like Paul Casey, they're going to use this type of club in their bag for the little bit more forgiveness. Now, from a spin-wise point of view, we're getting 5.8, nearly 5.9 in the spin, which is actually really good considering the loft. It's also £165 per club, so a little bit less than what we're seeing at the Titleist, a little bit less than what we're seeing out of that Callaway. So I think from the fact that it's got some tech in it that's giving it that little bit of extra control, this is why I've put it in at number 4. Now when we move into the top 3, I've got to quickly correct myself when it comes to the loft of what I said from the 7-iron in the T150. I said that the T150 at 32 degrees of loft was actually the highest loft of all the category that we're trying here today. However, that's not the case. The TaylorMade P770 7-iron is coming in at 33 degrees of loft, which I kind of really do like, but this is the club that I've put in my number 3 in this bracket. Now the P770 is kind of the smaller version of the really popular P790. And I actually really love the look of this iron. It's actually got a hollow body construction, so it feels a little bit flexy off that club face, but the squat look of it just really jumps out to me as a beautiful looking iron, and I can see why it goes into so many golfers' bags out there. But at 33 degrees of loft, I really like that. I know this is the power category. However, at 33 degrees of loft, I feel like we're going to get a little bit more control. When I talk about control, I'm talking about spin. And I am getting that. I'm getting 6,100 revs on an average out of this particular 7-iron, which I think works really, really well. Now, from a price point of view, it comes in higher than, let's say, some of the others at £180 per club, but that's kind of pretty much where we're seeing what the Titleist is getting. But the reason why I've got it into the top 3 is because even though it's giving me some good numbers from a yardage point of view, it's also giving me that spin. And I think that is extremely important when it comes to your control. Number 2, and the winner of the silver medal, and I think it's going to make a lot of people extremely happy because it is the underdog, really, the Wilson Dynapower forged irons. Now let's start off with a massive positive when it comes to the Wilson Dynapower forged. £125 per club this is going to cost you. Now, if you go back maybe 4 or 5 years, £125 per club is probably quite expensive. However, in this current market, at £180 per club, we're seeing it at 125, which I think is actually really quite a nice number to go with for you and your budgets. However, the Dynapower forged has got a lot of heat when it comes to the press on this particular club. Positive heat is what I'm talking about. This club coming in at 30.5 degrees of loft in the 7-iron, and control, as I've talked about, really important. I'm getting close to 6,000 revs out of this particular iron, and it's coming out at a pretty impressive yardage as well. So this is the reason why I've put the Wilson Dynapower forged in the silver spot at number 2. And then the winner of the gold medal, the champion golfer of the year in the power market, is the Srixon ZX5 Mk II. And we've talked about underdog in that Wilson, but I would say the Srixon kind of falls into a bit of an underdog category as well, because you don't see a lot of them in pro shops around certainly the UK, but I think it's really important to go and have a little look at this particular iron because I think it's going to work so well for so many golfers out there. Now from a loft point of view, we've got 31 degrees of loft on this particular club, which kind of sits nicely when it comes to what we've seen in those other clubs. However, control, which is kind of the main subject in this particular category for me personally, is I'm getting nearly 6.2 in the spin. It's giving me the most spin out of all the clubs that I've tested here today. And at £150 per club, I think it just fits quite nicely in the middle there of all the other clubs again that we've tested here today. But from a looks point of view, I don't think you can go too far wrong. It's got very minimal offset. It's got a nice thin tight kind of top line on the top there. So when you set it up behind that ball, it gives you that kind of confidence that it's a player's kind of club, but you've also got that power, but you've got the control to go with it. So that's the reason why I've put the Srixon ZX5 as the gold medal, the winner of this particular category. And like I've always said, when it comes to you going out testing the clubs, just make sure you go and get fitted for the clubs that you like the look of. And also there's brands that have not made it into this top 6 category, not because I don't like them, it's because they haven't quite made the mark when it comes to what we're seeing here today. Brands like Ping, There's going to be lots of ping lovers out there who haven't seen their ping in this particular range. I just couldn't find a place for them to go into this particular category. However, I'd like to hear down in the comments if there's any clubs that I've tested here today that you're using and you're really enjoying. I think all of these clubs look absolutely stunning down by the ball and are going to work so much for so many players out there. Remember, these clubs are designed for players that hit the ball quite hard and generate maybe too much spin. They've de-lofted these to be able to manage that, but they're also for people that have maybe lost a few yards and want to get it out there just a little bit further. I'd like to hear again down in the comments if you're one of those players. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I hope you've enjoyed that video, and I'll see you again very soon.